Hello and welcome. This is Eagle Eye 621, and today we are back in my item duping world. I will have a playlist to the other videos I showed in an iCard in the description down below, and in there you can see these massive carpet and rail dupers that make about 1.5 million items per hour, and of course more survival, reasonable sized builds. But today we are here to talk about a no redstone required simple gravity block duper, and we're focusing on some serious speed strats. With this technique, you're going to be able to generate 86,000 sand per hour. That is over 1,400 per minute. That's about 24 per second. You can make a full stack in under 3 seconds, and you can fill a chest in just over 72 seconds. And as I said, this requires no redstone, only a couple of fences, and then some alignment blocks, which I will show you. This technique does work with all of the full-sized gravity blocks. That means the sand, as well as the red sand and gravel, and all of your powdered concretes. So let's head on over to the stronghold so I can show you these techniques. But before I do that, let me just take a moment to ask you to scroll down and hit that subscribe button. Most of you are still not subscribed, and it really does help out the channel. So now let's head over to the stronghold, and these are some simple teleporting blocks to get us where we need to be. And we are still in peaceful mode just so the mobs don't bother us, but that doesn't affect this. And going over those blocks again, it is all of your sands, your gravel, the powdered concrete, and this does actually work with your anvils and your dragon eggs, although it won't be exactly the same rates, but it will be faster than the other videos shown. So let's actually grab some of that sand, and let's talk about height and placement. And let's talk about how you need to set this up in case you haven't seen one of these videos before. And what you want to do when you activate your end portal is you want to fill in the lava with some blocks just so that your items won't burn. And then you want to grab some fences and place them directly above where that lava is. And you can't see the portal from underneath because it doesn't have a texture that renders, but this is on. And there is no block or air block in between the portal and this fence. So this line right here is where your portal is, and directly underneath you have your fences. This will work with some other blocks, including walls. It's anything that will turn your falling block into an entity. And then you're going to want to go above this. Of course, you saw that I did put all of 9 of these fences in there. So each one of those portal blocks does have a fence underneath, so do be sure to do that. And then you're going to want to come up to the 6th block. So you can see here that we have 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 air blocks, and we're going to drop it on the 6th block up. You can go higher, you cannot go lower, or your rates will change. They'll decrease if they don't disappear at all. And the way that this duplication works in general is to just drop a block, and you can see that the block changes to an item as it falls through the portal. So when you jump through, you do have some blocks that have been duplicated on the other side. In terms of some speed strats that we've seen before, you can try to just hold down your right key, which does make things go a little bit faster. Now, if you want to go even faster than that, you can try and rapid click, and maybe you can hear this. But while that block is falling, you can't place another block on it. So you can use an auto clicker, and there is an in-game technique that I will show in a moment where you can fast place and actually manage to get 3 of them in the time it takes to fall. And that generates just under 25,000 sand per hour. So a lot faster than this, but still not at that 86,000 that we were talking about. So some commenters were asking about different angles and whether or not you can get more than these 3 in a row by rapid clicking. And that is actually a possibility, though it does not get us all the way there. If you come and stand in a corner like this, and you aim for the block on the outside, and I just use some blocks so that they don't blend into the wall and you can see, you can actually get 5. And all 5 of those blocks will, of course, duplicate. So let's demonstrate this by jumping in. We didn't count anything, of course. Let's just get rid of all these blocks that are right here, and let's make a loop. This just teleports us back here, and then jumping back in takes us to where we set our spawn with this bed, which is a nice little speed strat. And we're going to come over here and just dump all of these extras. And then to avoid too much counting, we can jump into survival mode, and we're going to fast click all these just like this. And you can see that we are getting 5 to be placed most of the time. Sometimes there are a couple of hiccups, but now as we jump back through, you will see that we have our original 64 sand plus this 63, and here is the 64th. So that was able to duplicate all of those. Now, if you do not have access to an auto clicker, then this is the technique that you are going to want to stick with. And by doing it with this method, you're able to get about 68,000 sand per hour. So let me show you how to do that without an auto clicker. You're going to want to go into your options menu. You're going to go into your controls, and you're going to scroll down here into your place block. Instead of having it be the right key button, we're going to change that. We can make it a P for place. You're going to click done, and now all you need to do is hold down that P button. And you can see that we do get those 5 getting placed, just like this. And it's not as consistent as with an auto clicker, but it is respectively consistent. And this way, if you don't have that ability to get an auto clicker, if you don't have a mouse, if you have any of those technical issues, you can still duplicate at a rate of about 68,000 per hour, which is a very impressive rate. But we were talking about how to get more than that. We were talking about how to get to our 86,000 per hour. And to do that, let's jump through to get rid of these duplicated blocks. We're going to need to use some special placer blocks in terms of our height. And as I'm trying to click to go back, I need to reset this because I want to use my right key again. So now let's try to go back, and that works. And let's get rid of this. Let's pick a new block to experiment with. And we can use some red sand. And the special height block that you're going to want to use are hidden in this chest right over here. And that is, you have 2 choices. You can either choose a daylight detector, and let's get that here, or you can use 4 snow layers. Now, if you need some snow, I'll link a card to a very fast snow farm. And now, the height of the player is going to be critically important. So you'll see if I do this with a daylight sensor, or I do this specifically with 4 snow layers, no more and no less. When I press the F3 button and I go to land on the block, you will see by looking right here, we are 0.375 blocks up. So we're not flat, we are up. And the same thing is on the snow layers. Just be aware of the snow layers. If you have a high enough light level, they can melt. I'd much more recommend to just make the daylight detector and use that instead of the snow layers if you are able. And the reason that we want to be very specifically at this height, that is 0.375 above, is to do with the angles of looking at blocks. And that is right here when I remove this screen. It says 8.6. Now it says negative 5.4. And the reason that you need to be at this height is because at exactly 0, which is right here, you can see at the target block height, and that is right over here, it says 41. And that's directly at 0. If I go up even by 1, it goes to 42. And that does work for 1 if my mouse wants to be sensitive enough. It is exactly perfect right here at negative 0 or just regular 0. And now what happens when you fast place is this. And that is much, much faster. And that has to do with being able to click on falling entity blocks. As noted, once the block starts falling, if you can hear me rapid clicking, you can't place another block on it. The game won't let you place a block against a falling block. So with your rapid clicking technique or skill, you are placing blocks before the game has a chance to make that block fall. Now, in order to speed up further, what happens when you're down flat is you need to wait for the block to fall out of your target to place the next block against the wall. And when you are able to target at 0, 0, just like this, you're able to hit that wall the moment that block starts to fall. And now you're placing it almost continuously. And at 86,000 per hour, this is actually faster than every game tick. And I know YouTube's making that look a little funny, and sometimes in your game you will get a couple of hiccups, but once you get started, it does consistently place all 5 at the same time. And we can jump through to see that this technique still does work. So let's get rid of all of these extra items and make sure there's nothing left. Jump through again, and we're going to get rid of everything except, say, 3 stacks. Let's move ourselves back up here, and let us also jump back into survival mode so we don't have to even attempt to count this. Let's also get back to our 0, 0 right there, and now let's fast place. And you can see how fast those items are going down. Let's switch over to the next one. You can also see that it is very consistently getting all 5. And one more. And if everything has worked properly, when we jump through, we should see 6 stacks of items. And of course we have our original 3 stacks. We have 2 full stacks and 63 because the 64th is right here. And that is 3 stacks duplicated just that fast. Now I did say this does work with Dragon Eggs and with Anvils. So let's grab some Dragon Eggs and let's grab the Anvils. Or I could do that in the opposite as I'm telling you. Now, the issue with the block heights is it's not exactly the same as the sand, but this technique also with the anvils you have to hold shift, same with the dragon eggs. If we go into survival mode, you'll see that we can also attempt at fast placing these, and it's a lot less consistent until you get that perfect angle. And then with the dragon eggs, it is very similar. You won't get it as consistently because of the different block shapes, but you do get typically enough. And some of them, as you just saw, will do that strange teleporting thing. So it's not as consistent as the sand or the powdered concrete. But if you go through, you will see that we do have most of our dragon eggs. We have the 64 that we started with. We have 58 and then one right here. And if you go back and explore in your world, you will find most often that they have teleported somewhere right around that portal. And then we also do have our original 64 anvils. We have 51 normal anvils, and then sometimes your anvils are damaged in that duplication process because they're impacting those fences. So you can see that we have successfully duplicated all of the anvils and most of the dragon eggs. We can go back around again. And then once you have, and right here in front of me is one of the dragon eggs. There's another one right here. I have not found that the dragon eggs are ever actually deleted or destroyed. They may be just hiding somewhere in a cave around there, but if you explore, you will be able to find your egg. And of course, this does work with just the one egg. If you have only one egg, you just place it there. You get 2, and then 4, and 8, and so on and so forth. And once you have all of the items that you need, you can go back to your main base, which this helpful block will teleport, and use your sand or your powdered concrete, your anvils, or your dragon eggs for whatever it is that you needed them for. If you found this video helpful, I would appreciate a like. If you found it interesting, consider sharing it with one of your friends. And for more videos like this, do be sure to subscribe. I will also note that YouTube has given me a join button. That is the members program, which is their equivalent to Patreon. If you're interested in supporting me in that way, there are a couple of additional perks. And you can find that next to the subscribe button, which will give you those details. Thanks for stopping by.